In this video, I'm going to be taking this zombie sculpture that I did for Halloween, and I want to beef it up a little bit and try to go over some anatomy as I'm doing that. These are just some anatomy books that I learned a lot from. This one's Cutting Edge Anatomy. As far as the material that I'm using, this is Victoria Brown microcrystalline wax, and just some of the diagrams that they have here. I just really like the way they built up these muscles, very superhero-esque. Hopefully you can see that, and you can see how thick, thick the shoulders are and the arms. Definitely need to be thickened up, and I'm gonna try to distinguish between the three heads of the deltoid, because that'll be quite a bit thicker because of all the muscle mass I'm imagining in. Do the same thing with the bicep. The head of the bicep is a little bit shorter, but then as you turn your wrist, and this zombie is turning the wrist, and so that head of the bicep will be longer and go right into the elbow. The other muscles of the forearm, these are twisting around. It's that muscle between the bicep and the tricep. I want to give a little bit of an indication of that, and then let's thicken up the tricep as well. The chest out as well. The tricep build even just a little bit more. The trapezius, this muscle back here, this is squeezed on this side, so I really want this thick muscular flexing. Some lines to help me draw a center line. Helpful especially when you're doing things like anatomy, to make sure that you don't lose the structure that you've built in. The muscles are just like blending into the neck. I'm gonna try to make this dramatic curve. That's what causes that big V shape, thickness all around. But all of the muscles build up around that spine so that the spine appears more of a valley between those big muscle groups in the back. Some muscles back here. So there's kind of an indication of where the shoulder blades are, the scapula. The steroids drove him to an insanity, or maybe there was like a... Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. Front side, plenty of thickness, and then the deltoid wraps and goes a little bit more towards the back of the arm than the front. We're gonna do that. Okay, so that's twisting around under here. Right here, there's kind of this bullet-shaped muscle. How the muscle groups overlap as they tuck into one another. Accuracy to the forms I'm laying in. The erector spinae, I think. Thicken up a little bit, though we don't want the waist to become too wide. Let's add some more to that front deltoid. But if you're a good artist, then the art seems, it speaks to a truth, like a truth about the anatomy. This is the thing with comic books, they're unrealistic physiques, but they're unrealistic in a way that is realistic, if that makes sense. So they're exaggerated in a way that the body could be exaggerated if somebody, had this absurd superhuman strength. Now I'm gonna be looking at this one on the front and trying to add in some of that information, build out those lats a lot more. I really like this stylized physique. Thinking about how these muscles wrap around the form, so like the cylinder of the arm, the supinator that we talked about, those are a great example of how the muscles wrap around the form. The bicep, I think, it's relaxed, it's maybe hanging a little bit. I think it'll come down a little bit more over here, given that big muscle right there is the thenar eminence, that big thumb muscle. I'm trying to pay attention to the silhouette or the outline. And I really like this microcrystalline wax. It's fun. It's I guess because of the structure of the wax. The reason it's called microcrystalline is because the crystal structure is really fine. It's really tight, and so it allows it to stick together a little bit more than like paraffin wax, which you might find in candles. Yeah, that's looking fun. That's fun. I like to do these types of sculptures. Now I'm going to be looking at this page over here, this side, and trying to develop some stuff. The arms are up, not quite as much as this, so the stretching will be a little bit different, but it'll just allow me to see some of the muscles of the back with a little bit more detail. You know, once you get the basics down, a lot of it's just repetition and just the same thing over and over again. Let's come in and thicken up the neck too. What's that? Sternocleidomastoid muscle that comes down. Then with the clavicle to the chest, when you have a big chest, it's a lot more soft and subtle, whereas if you're thin, you know, you can see the clavicle quite a bit more. There's not that soft roll off onto the pec. But with this one, you almost can't see the clavicle because the pec muscle is just going to cover it up. The chest just a little bit more over here. The rib cage. I want to get like a thicker rib cage feel. This is looking cool. Back to this diagram and be looking at the legs more now. The upper legs a little bit thinner compared to the lower legs, which he's really developed. Yeah, some bigger quads, more impressive muscular. I don't want to lose those high points that are asymmetrical. And then there's that group of the muscles on the inner thigh. Let's thicken those up a little bit for the sartorius. The sartorius is this one that wraps around the inner leg. Wraps around and then tucks in over here, which I really appreciate. I'm so grateful for anybody that supports, that I appreciate any support whatsoever. And I'm looking for like gesture. I want to look for asymmetry. We subconsciously just want to build things symmetrically from side to side, but asymmetry in the muscles is much more interesting and accurate. And yeah, this is definitely a fun project. The zombie sculpt at first, and then zombie on steroids. Okay, I think that's where we're going to leave it for this session. That was really fun. I need to get back into the swing of doing these regularly. If there's anything that you'd like to see, I hope you'll let me know. I hope you'll reach out to me. If you'd like feedback on your specific sculptures, then at $15 a month on Patreon, you can email me and I'll give you direct feedback on sculptures and tips on what I think they could use to improve them and make them look better. And some people have enjoyed that. And so if you're interested, that's an available option. Stay creative, stay productive, and I'll see you in the next one.